Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another goals video where I share my personal goal progress with you. Here on my YouTube channel, my mission is to help you achieve your personal goals, and I believe that sharing my goals with you, my action steps, my ups and downs along the way, give you some inspiration, some motivation, some ideas that you can take and hopefully inspire you to go out and achieve your own goals. So every month I sit down and I talk about how my goals from the last month went and all the goals that I have set up for the upcoming month. And as always, I'm filming this video a little bit early compared to the end of the month. It is actually February 19th. It just happens to work out. February is a shorter month anyway, so the 19th, while it feels super early, it's not that early, and I'm actually gonna start my March goals next week. I will talk about that when we get to the March section. I'm also splitting March up into 2 parts, so stay tuned. Let's first start off with how my February action steps went. Now, before I pick up this paper and tell you about all the steps, we need to talk about how February actually panned out. And in fact, I did a live topic. So I go live every week on YouTube and I talk about a topic related to goals. And the last week of January, the topic was how to handle goals when life throws you a curveball. Well, it could not have been more perfectly timed because life has absolutely thrown our family a curveball. I'm not going to go into this in detail, but there is something that our family is dealing with behind the camera that is impacting us a lot and is having my husband be out of town a lot more than we originally planned. We literally moved into this house and the next day he got on a plane to head down to Texas where his family is. And then Lila and I went down the following weekend and he stayed longer than that and then is planning another trip coming up very soon. So there's just a lot going on, and it is causing some of our goals and our time and our energy to take a back seat because this is our current priority. And that is not what I was anticipating when I planned February, right? When I planned February, I actually knew Sam was gonna be gone for a couple of days for a wedding that he didn't end up going to, and that my mom was gonna be out of town, which she is, but I had not anticipated Lila and I being out of town for any of it, and I had not anticipating Sam being gone for as much as he has been, and therefore like a lot of other duties falling onto me, and just it is absolutely the right decision for our family right now, but it has meant that a lot of my goals have had to take a back seat. So you will notice that as we go through these action steps, and it just is what it is. It's just one of those months, and it might carry on through the rest of, for the foreseeable future. We don't know how long it's going to be, but for now, I can at least plan with that in mind. So the first one-time step was to finish unpacking. And this was a little bit ambitious, I think, in general, let alone on top of everything that we've had going on. Do I feel really good about the progress we've made? Absolutely. In fact, I wrote this down because I thought it would be fun to share with you. So we had 75, we ended up with 75 boxes. And right now, as of today, which is February 19th, we have about 15 boxes left. So that's pretty good progress. I feel like we've made pretty good progress. It's not everything, but for where we're at, it's important. Right now, you know what? I probably could have checked this off as complete because I don't plan to open any of those boxes before the end of February. I have a lot of other organizing and house projects, things I want to hang, things I want to organize, but I take that back. There's one box that I want to unpack before the end of February. Otherwise, I'm not super concerned about it. So you know what? That is how we will tackle it. If I get that one box done before the end of the weekend, I will check off that I finished unpacking and what was ultimately my goal. The next one was to make that project list for the house. This is the one-time action step that I did complete in February, and that feels really good. The next one was to work on my vision board, and I did make progress. I checked off making progress on this because I ordered, and you'll see this in a vlog in a couple of weeks, I ordered a magnetic board for behind my desk. Originally, I was going to do like different things behind my desk, and I was gonna have like a calendar, and I was gonna have a place to put my goal sheet, and I was gonna have my vision board, and I decided I wanted things to look a little bit more streamlined, and I also wanted a little bit of flexibility. So I bought this huge magnetic board. I haven't even hung it up yet when I'm filming this. It literally arrived this morning. And so my plan is I'm gonna put my weekly plan and my goal sheet, and I'm gonna do a digital version of my vision board, and I'm gonna print it off and stick it on that magnetic board. So I checked off that I made progress on this goal because I feel like I did, because I made a decision about it, but I didn't quite finish it. And I also decided I'm not gonna do a full annual vision board, I'm gonna do quarterly vision boards. And so I haven't made one for Q2, but that is a plan. I'm gonna do that. The rest of the one-time steps, I did not do. And I'm not even gonna go through them one at a time because really, it was just a time. These are all, like, none of these, well, let me take that back. The fireplace didn't happen because, I guess it is, they are all impacted by time. But our contractor told us that we can't use our wood burning fireplace. We mounted a TV on top of it until we get a mantle in between them. So that's why we didn't use fireplace. Although, again, the effort to like get the wood when Sam wasn't even here and like figure it out, it wasn't going to happen. All of these things required time that I could not dedicate to goals this month. I had to prioritize, I had to be picky, and all of these things got pushed to the wayside, and that's just where it is. Moving on to the weekly steps. So the first one was to do 45 minutes of creative time. And here's one of those goals that I know what I should have done. So in January, the goal was to do 30 minutes and I crushed it. Some weeks I did even more than that. I was blowing it out of the water and I was doing such a great job that I thought I'm gonna increase it for February. So I did. And then life happened and things exploded. And by the way, I made my February goals right before we found out about everything going on. So I apologize for being so vague, but it's not my information to share. So what I should have done in that moment is I should have decreased this. I should have immediately crossed off the 45 and put something lower, because I should have known that there was no way I was going to do 45. And the problem with having 45 minutes written on this page is that I felt demotivated to even do anything because I knew I wasn't going to hit 45 minutes. Yeah. And so I've done 0 as of this point. Now, you'll see when we get to March, I am changing it up a little bit, not just lowering the number, but doing something else to encourage me to make progress on this. But that one didn't happen in February. Working out. This one started off strong because I did make a change, right? So the one-time step I had, and by the way, when I do my weekly lives, I also share the updated progress of my goals and any insights that I think of throughout the month. And so I did talk about this already on a live, but one of the things that I had to change related to my workouts was the intensity and the ability to do it at home, because I knew we were going to be out of town for part of the month. And so my original plan was to do the strength program within Peloton, and that was the one-time step, was to finish the program. And so I crossed that off as soon as I knew we were going to be out of town. And so then I was like, okay, the goal is just to do a lower amount of working out and just something simple, body weight, easy. And I did that the first week. Go me. The second week I did it once, and I got to thinking about like what am I struggling with related to working out? And the biggest thing is that I am not excited about going down into our basement. It is the place that is the least organized and unpacked in our house. Spoiler alert, that's one of the Q2 goals. It is chaos down there, and I'm not motivated. I miss working out in person in classes. So I decided, literally in the middle of the month, that I was gonna do in-person workout classes. I was like, I am not going to wait until March and wait until something else. Well, first I was gonna wait till Q2. I was gonna make the Q2 goal in-person classes. And then I was like, okay, well, I don't wanna wait that long. Maybe I'll do it in March. And then we're gonna be out of town for 1 week in March. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start now. So I started now. And this week I've done 2 in-person workout classes and they felt great. It has been so good. And so I found a time that works, and I don't know. It's just really, really working for me. So I have done it twice this week, and I feel good about the progress that I am making on that. The last one-time step was to do 7 vegetables, and I haven't hit that yet. I am doing a pretty good job so far this week, so maybe this will be the 1 week that I hit that goal. I'm still not mad at myself for setting a weekly goal, because there have been a couple of times that I have had more than 1 serving in a day, and so I felt like, oh, I'm making progress towards that goal. I just haven't done it enough to hit the weekly number, but I do feel like by having it in the weekly section, it has impacted some of the decisions that I've made. Moving on to my daily steps. So the first one was to listen to music alone. And I talked in the last goals video, the January to February one, about how Lila and I have started listening to music every morning during breakfast, and I love it. And we still do that, and I absolutely love it. So we are listening to music every single day. But I also wanted to set a goal to listen to music by myself instead of like whether it was listening to a TV show I've watched a million times or just putting something else on in the background. I wanted to prioritize music, and I have done that. So I've been trying to do it when I do like household unpacking type tasks, and it's been really lovely. So I didn't actually do any of the math for this video, but it's pretty good. The next one was my sleep score. And if you don't know, I wear an Oura ring. And so my goal in February was to hit a certain sleep score. And I just talked about this on today's live because somebody asked about sleep goals. So if you have sleep goals or you're interested, I'll link that live for you if you're interested in that conversation. But one of the things that's interesting is there's only so much that's actually within my control, right? Like everything is within my control, but then sometimes like the sleep score just happens. Like I just have a good night's sleep or a bad night's sleep. Now, there are obviously a couple of things that are directly in my control, like what time I go to bed and wake up, that I'm getting the right number of hours, or I'm giving myself the opportunity to get the number of hours. And then, you know, whether I stare at my phone before bed and whether or not I have alcohol, those things I do notice directly impact my sleep. But then there are days that my sleep score is either good or bad, and I don't know exactly what is causing that. So what I found is that by putting it on my goals, it didn't necessarily always motivate me to change my proactive decisions. Maybe that was the goal, but I didn't really find it doing that all that much. But what I did find is that I always thought after the fact. So if I ended up with a good or bad sleep score, I thought to myself, well, what did I do the day before, the night before, that could have impacted that? And how can I do more or less of that in the future? One of the changes I made is I bought decaf cold brew so that I can still have an afternoon coffee without it being caffeinated that's going to impact my sleep. So I'm glad I put this on my goals. I'm not carrying this over into March just because I don't think I'm proactively doing anything. I think I learned some things. I think I thought about some things a little bit more, and I did a pretty good job. Like I hit it pretty much most of the days. And like the one day in the middle that I didn't there was because Lila was sick and she woke up in the middle of the night for the first time in a long time. So I feel pretty good. The next one was my water goal, and this one is still holding steady, like right about the same amount. This was, I think, a little bit harder while we were out of town, just being out of my element. You can tell like when I'm home, I'm pretty good about it. Also, somehow Wednesdays, I never hit my water goal. Is that just because I always have like another drink for the live? And that's taking up my liquid space. I don't know. But it is interesting to see patterns with goals sometimes that you can decide like, you know, is there something I need to tweak on those individual days? I find that interesting. So, however, even though this one is not perfect, I am not carrying this one over into March. I want to keep things simple going forward, and other things took a priority. And then the last one was to work on my vegetable, and it looks pretty similar to what it looked like in January. But I think, again, we've been kind of out of our element. We've been ordering out a lot, and I was hoping by putting this on here, it would encourage me to like order vegetables when we order out, whether we're at restaurants or ordering takeout. And I have been, like there have been times that I've made the decision to get a salad, and then there's times that I haven't. So hopefully this one is just going to keep improving. All in all, I am very proud of the things I still accomplished in February. The state of our house, the state of our family situation. By the way, like me and Lila and Sam are totally fine. We're all good. Just not to worry you there. But just everything we've had going on. And I mean, Lila got sick, and just so much this month. This month has been chaos. And when I look at this page and I focus on the check marks, I'm like, wow, I did that. So you know what? I'm here to remind you, your months are going to be up and down. Your goals are going to be up and down, but you can still make little tiny improvements and little progress, and it does add up. Okay, let's talk about March. Last year. Before we talk about March, let's talk about quarters and quarterly goals. Last year, I talked about how I wanted to change up how I did my quarters, and that it didn't feel right to split up the quarters the way that they're currently split. It just didn't work with how like I line up with my general season. And I don't even have a child that's in school, but I definitely can see this being the case if you do have a child that's in school, and that your summer is your switch into summer happens before the switch from Q2 to Q3, right? So for years, I've been setting quarterly goals where I change them at the end of March, at the end of June, at the end of September, and then I do the whole year. Well, last year, I was feeling like that didn't feel right. And so I knew that I was gonna make a change this year. I knew that I was gonna start my Q3 June 1st. Like, cause to me that's summer. And then I would start Q4 September 1st, and December, no goals December is for sure happening again this year. I have lots of videos about no goals December from last year if you're interested in that. Highly recommend. But what I hadn't figured out is whether I was going to shorten Q1 or Q2. Was I gonna leave Q1 all the way till the end of March and just have a short Q2, or was I gonna cut it at the end of February and have a short Q1? My birthday is at the end of March, and so I was leaning towards keeping Q1, 1, 2, 3, and then having a shortened Q2. Then life happened, we moved, family stuff, and we're going on vacation in the middle of March. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna cut March in half. There's no one that says I have to switch to my new quarter at the end of a month. I'm gonna do it in the middle of the month. So I have decided that for the first 2 weeks of March, now I'm gonna say that, but really it's kind of the last week of February, beginning of March. I've decided, as proud as I am of this page, I am ready to set it down. I'm ready to not look at it anymore. I'm ready to not look at all of the ambitions that I had. Two things can be true at once. Like I can be both proud of February and also very frustrated by the things I didn't do. So the way I'm tackling it is I am doing March part 1, which is going to be the week of February 24th. So kind of the last week of February, first week of March, and the week of March 3rd. That is March part 1, and that is gonna be the wrap up on these quarterly goals. So I'm gonna do 2 weeks still focused on these quarterly goals to wrap up Q1 and March part 1. Then we're gonna go on our trip. The week of March 8th, we're out of town and we're gonna be on vacation. Then, starting the week we get back, the week March 17th, we get back on that Monday. It was overnight, so we leave Sunday night and we get home sometime Monday morning. So that week, the week of March 17th, is going to be Q2 for me. And I have a whole new set of action steps. So doing March part 1 and March part 2. And I originally thought about putting them on the same sheet, and then I decided, you know what? This is my goal planner and I can print out more than one sheet. So I have printed out 2 versions of March. I have March part 1 that I'm gonna share with you in this video that's gonna kick off next Monday, February 24th. You're seeing this video the week after that, but I'm gonna kick it off then, and these are the things I'm doing the next 2 weeks. Then you're gonna see another video on March 17th, which is the day that I'm flying home, with my quarterly goal wrap up. So Q1 wrapping up, what my Q2 goals are, and then what my March part 2 action steps are. If you are like, Laken, that is so confusing, I can't believe you're doing that, that's fine. This is what works for me. I've been doing goals for so many years. I know what works for me and I know what doesn't, and this feels right. Like when I was really debating it, this is what kept jumping out at me, and I was like, but that's so stupid. No, it's not. It's not. It's what works and makes sense for my life right now, where we're at. So let's go through my March part 1. I have 2 one-time action steps. The first one is to finish 2 house projects. So that list that I made last month of all the house projects that I want to do, some of them are, I have them actually, I'm not gonna share all of them with you in this video, maybe in a vlog if you're interested in hearing all those things, but I have them in multiple sections. So I have to do, which is mostly like hanging things that we already, hanging or installing things we already have. So install new downstairs baby gate, hang curtains in different rooms, blah, blah, blah. Then I have a section of things to buy that are like more, I need to actually research, and they take, it's more effort than just like measuring and picking a magnetic board. Then I have things I want to organize. So places that I have unpacked, but they're still a little bit chaotic and they still need a little bit more love. And then I have the boxes that I have left to unpack. And then I have a separate list of like bigger projects that are not as important. Those are kind of the like shorter term. And then I have some more like kind of longer term ones. Those are not the ones I'm trying to tackle in the next 2 weeks, these little ones. And it could be any one of those things. It could be buying one of those things on my to buy. It could be hanging one of the things on my to hang. It could be organizing one of the spaces. Anything on that list counts. And I'm aiming just to do 2 of them. I may do more, I may not, but my goal is just to do 2 in the next, because this is only for 2 weeks. And then the other one-time step is I want to buy some fresh flowers. That one's easy. I live very close to a Trader Joe's. I can easily just hop over there and grab some fresh flowers at a reasonable price. All right, in terms of the weekly steps. So the first weekly step is to do 1 house project. That's pretty simple. My goal is to do 1 per week over the next 2 weeks to get to my total goal of 2. Obviously, there is a scenario that I miss one of the weeks, but I still hit my monthly goal of 2. That is why I have it in 2 places. The next one is 15 minutes of creative time. I warned you, I was gonna keep it on my list, but I'm dropping it down and decreasing the number to a more reasonable number over the next 2 weeks. You'll also see it in the daily section. The next weekly step is keeping working out on my weekly step, but instead of writing it on 3 rows, I put it as working out 3 times, because spoiler alert, that's also in the daily section. I have told you a number of times, if you are going to do something multiple times per week, I would recommend that you do it on multiple rows, or you put it in the daily section. That way, if there's a week that I do 2 workouts, I'm not gonna see that check mark on the weekly section, but I will see those check marks down at the daily section. And as somebody who is very motivated by check marks, that is what I have found work. Obviously, if check marks don't motivate you, you don't have to do it this way, but that is what I recommend because seeing progress keeps you motivated. So the goal is still to do workouts 3 times, nothing specific, whether it's at home or an in-person class. I'm still gonna be working on my in-person stuff. It's gonna be a little bit harder the week of the 24th because Sam is gonna be gone for part of that week. And then we're gonna have company later in that week, which that is also chaos that is ensuing. We've known that they were gonna be visiting for months, but it just like the timing of everything. But I'm still aiming to do 3 workouts a week. And then 7 vegetables, sticking with the same goal. Moving on to the daily steps, there's actually nothing brand new down here in the daily section. So the first one is listening to music alone. Even though I feel like I've done a good job of that, I just still wanna keep it going and keep prioritizing it. The next one is creative time. So I guess this is technically new because I didn't have it in the daily section before because I wasn't aiming to do it daily. But, and I'm still not, it's not necessarily something I wanna do every single day. But by having it in the daily section, I am going to get credit when I do a small amount on any given day. So back in January, when I hit the creative time goal out of the park, and I did easily 30 minutes a week, some weeks it was 30 minutes straight, where I just sat there for 30 minutes and I did it straight. Some weeks it was in individual chunks, right? And I would do 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 5 minutes here, and it added up. But because I was still hitting the weekly goal, I didn't necessarily need the motivation to acknowledge when I did it random times throughout the week. Because I haven't been hitting it, I was thinking I need other ways to motivate myself to do it little by little, as opposed to just finding 15 minutes. Now that I've lowered it to 15 minutes, I probably could just sit and do it for 15 minutes. But in case I am not, in case I am gonna do it in 3 5-minute chunks, I wanted it in the daily section. Again, not aiming to check it off every day, not even a little bit, but aiming to encourage me to even just do 5 minutes. And then I will check it off in the daily section and it will get me that much closer to the weekly goal. So that is why it's in the daily section. Working out is also now down in the daily section, like I already explained, because in the weekly section, I have it 3 times. I also have it down in the workout. I also thought maybe by putting it in the daily section, maybe I would do it more than 3. Like even though my weekly goal is 3, maybe I would do it more. We'll see. But I'm excited to see it in the daily section. I think also sometimes putting stuff in the daily, like I was talking about with the water, allows you to see habits a little bit as well. And then the last one is vegetables. Same thing, my goal is 1 per day. That's the goal. So a lot of this is the same. It's also very simple because it's just the next 2 weeks. And it's the next 2 weeks that I know we have a lot going on. Again, Sam being gone, company coming, prepping for our own trip. There's a lot to do, but my goals are still important to me. And so that's what I'm gonna be focused on for the next 2 weeks. And that is gonna be the end of this video. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, comment below with a flower emoji. Any of the flowers that you like, comment below to encourage me and remind me how beautiful it's gonna be when I have fresh flowers in my house. Any of the flower emojis I would love to see down in the comments. And if you wanna share, I would love to hear about one goal that you have set for March that you are super excited about. Let us know down in the comments so that we can cheer each other on. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. Moving on to the daily stuff. Daily stuff? They're at, let me take that out. Why do I feel so awkward?